Hey guys, it's been a few months without a video, so I thought it was time to do a channel update. This time I fell off in the middle of a sub-series of sorts about the apparitions of the smoke monster. Up to this point, I've released 4 out of the 7 planned parts of that video essay. The original reason that I began falling off schedule with that is because I was splitting it up. Like, for example, part 4, the last video I released. Originally, that was just about Boone appearing to John at the beginning of season 3, and me making the case for why that could be the smoke monster, why I believe it was the smoke monster. My original version of that script, or of that part of the original Smoke and Mirrors script, I didn't feel like it made a compelling enough case for why I believe that. So I eventually reworked it into the longer version, which was released, where it really became, it evolved into a sort of character study of Locke. And ultimately, I was really proud of the way that turned out. So going into part 5, which was and is going to be about the mysterious animal appearances that we see on the island throughout the show, and whether or not those may have been the smoke monster and which ones, me making the case for why each one could have been the smoke monster. Basically, for me to go from what part 4 was into what I had written for part 5, which was just a much shorter, just, again, me just kind of being like, oh, well, here's why this could be the case. I felt like that would be underwhelming, so I was trying for a few weeks to kind of crack a way to make that video more substantial, the way I did with part 4. This, of course, completely undermines the original reason I had for breaking up the Smoke and Mirrors video essay into multiple parts. You know, if each section grows into its own half-hour video, then we're back to what my original issue was, the issue that I was trying to avoid, of my schedule becoming too crazy or too unrealistic. So yeah, I struggled with that for a few weeks, and then, as more and more time went on, the more I felt like, okay, I've got to make this video more substantial, because if they've been waiting 3 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months, for me to come back with just a very short, simple video of like, okay, here are these animal appearances, here's why it could be the Man in Black. Yeah, I feel like the pressure has mounted for me to make that video more exciting. So that is one factor in why I disappeared. Also, as time went on, specifically around June, I started to have other things happen in my life. Some family drama, nothing too crazy or anything, but yeah, I had to travel a bit for that. Also, some pretty cool opportunities and experiences. I might eventually talk about those at some point, but it's not related to Lost. And then another thing that happened was, for those of you that have followed my channel since before it was specifically dedicated to Lost, you may know that I am also a fan of the Saw series, and I did make some really rushed, poor quality videos on the first 6 Saw films a couple years back. And at that time, I was doing that to lead into me releasing a Saw project I had been working on for quite a while. But ultimately, for reasons I won't get into here, I didn't end up completing that project. And I decided when they announced a new Saw movie would be coming out in 2023 that I would finish it then. Unfortunately, in July, they pushed the movie up a month earlier, which then got me stressed out. Okay, I need to start working on this now. So what free time I did have, I started focusing on that again. And now that the new Saw movie is out, I have started to, I've made plans to release my Saw project at the end of October, or towards the end of October. And I have created a separate YouTube channel for that and for some Saw content. Because like I said earlier in the year, I want this channel to be specifically for Lost, because I realize that is what everybody here has subscribed for. So yeah, I've made a separate channel. If you guys are interested in Saw, if any of you are interested in Saw and would like to see my videos on that, I will link that channel here. I'll also put it up in my channel, on my channel page. I'll put a link to it, and I'll put a link to it in the description. So yeah, the good news is I'm still alive. As always, I'm going to come back from my hiatus, and I will return to the videos that I had planned. The bad news is that for October, I'm going to continue to focus on the Saw stuff. And then the plan is that by the end of November, I will have a new Lost video out on this channel. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that update. That's what the forecast looks like for this channel. Thank you guys for being patient with me yet again. And on that note, I've been considering, I'll make an official announcement when I come back, but I've been considering discontinuing the Patreon, just because every time I disappear for more than a month, I pause the donations because I don't think it's right for you guys to be charged when I'm not making content. The problem is, I think it could be confusing or get confusing. You know, if I keep pausing the donations for months at a time and then I randomly bring them back, you know, and people aren't expecting that, that could be inconvenient for people. So I'm thinking that I should maybe just discontinue the Patreon. Originally, I started it because ideally, I think the reason anybody makes a Patreon is you'd like to be able to generate enough income to do this sort of thing full time. And, you know, my channel is not big enough quite yet to monetize. So I don't make any income off of any of the videos on this channel, you know, that I've made over the past 3 years. And so yeah, Patreon was supposed to supplement that until I could get there. But, you know, I never actually expected there to be, you know, I'm talking about a show that ended over a decade ago. I never expected to get so many Patreon subscribers that I would be able to make this a full-time job. And yeah, realistically just, and part of this is my fault for the inconsistency in, you know, the release schedules. But yeah, the amount of Patreon donors that I have, all of which I appreciate more than I can say. But it's basically just amounted to $30 a month, a little more than $30 a month in the months where I actually let the donations go through. And that kind of covers just a little bit more than the expenses that it costs to make the video. My point is that it doesn't really make sense to continue charging the people that have agreed to donate when it's not making that much of a difference for me. Yeah, again, I don't want it to sound like I'm unappreciative. That is so far from the case. That is very much the opposite of the truth. I can't believe that people have donated to the extent that they have. It really means the world to me. And yeah, the other reason that I kind of liked doing the Patreon, I really like what I do with the candidate names and the chalkboard. That's why I've been trying to think of another way to kind of continue that without taking donations from people. So far, I haven't quite figured that out, but I'll keep thinking about it. Anyways, yeah, I just once again thank you all, especially the Patreon donors. And yeah, I will be back, and yeah, I hope to see you guys soon.